And welcome to our lunchtime link up. This is where we invite members of the DivInc team and special guests to come talk about how we are supporting startup founders and impacting the tech ecosystem with diversity and inclusion as our guide. I'm your host, Sharice Luter, the marketing director here at DivInc. And today we are talking about sports tech. Our Sports Tech Accelerator is launching in a few months. And we thought this was the perfect time to have the team here in Houston to come talk about what founders can expect and why are we taking on sports tech as the next accelerator we're going to have through the DivInc program. I have a wonderful group of people here who are going to introduce themselves and tell you all about themselves. This is our Houston team, and I'm going to start with Ashley. Take it away.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks, Sharice. This is my name is Ashley Dewalt, Managing Director of DivInc, and really excited about this accelerator for this focus on sports tech. Real quick, my background: 20 years, and I'm probably dating myself, but 20 years in the sports and entertainment industry as a management consultant, working with leading sports startups, talent, brands, and properties. Also, have served as an advisor and mentor through Stadia Ventures, Techstars, as well as an advisor for a Sports Map Tech SPAC here in Houston. And so just really excited about this opportunity and sharing more about what we have coming up in April. And on that note, I'll pass it off to my tag team partner, who's the program director, Amanda Moya.
Yes, thank y'all for being here. My name is Amanda Moya, and I'm the Houston program director here at DivInc. My background is in entrepreneurial curriculum. So I got my start at the University of Houston in the Wolf Center for Entrepreneurship, first being a student and then being the program manager, helping the students get through their 3 cohort program. Most recently, I was at the Cannon, helping their startups and small businesses get the resources and connections they need. And I have a family business, a K through 12 tutoring center. So we made it through COVID, thank God. So I'm really happy to share with our founders kind of best practices and how to reach their milestones.
Cool. I'm going to close it out. Nate Thompson, the co-founder of HTX Sports Tech. Background in the sports industry, similar to Ash. Spent 4 years in Cleveland with the Indians, helping with their digital ticket operations, ballpark app development, loyalty programs, and fan engagement experiences, and then moved down to Houston in 2015 to do the same thing with the Houston Astros, and then moved into a project management role, helping develop a lot of emerging tech business operations, platform systems, hardware throughout the Minute Maid Park and throughout the Astros organization.
Great. Thank you all for letting everybody know a little bit of your background. So I think it's just time, let's dive into it. We have a wide range of viewers who are maybe just learning about what an accelerator is, just learning about what a startup is, or even just dipping a toe into the startup space. So I think starting with the baseline, the first question should be, what is an accelerator and why should someone who is trying to start a business even be considering participating in one?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So for DivInc, an accelerator is an intensive 12-week period of time when you're focused on meeting your key milestones of your business. So we like to say that we help you do in 12 weeks what would take you 18 to 24 months to do on your own. So during our program, what we found that works really well is you're not just coming to workshops and learning and then going home and leaving and trying to figure it out by yourself. You're doing the work with us by your side. And it's the work that you'd be doing as a founder for your business anyway. It's just propelled over this 12-week period. So you as a founder are a subject matter expert already in the problem that you're trying to solve. And where DivInc comes in is we're coming in to be part of your team. So we want to know where your expertise is, what does your operations look like, so that we can fill in the gaps of where you need the most help. So the other piece that we really focus on in our accelerator is building your network. So during this time, you're going to be meeting other incredibly talented founders and mentors and experts and investors who are here to get you through the 12 weeks, but you build those connections with them so that after our program, you have the resources and the people that you need to connect with to continue the growth of your business.
Excuse us if you hear any kind of notifications. I think everyone's has that moment when they have their computer going. So
yep, let me mute that.
So I think, well, we now know what an accelerator is, but let's get into the Sports Tech Accelerator. So how are we approaching that, or explain what that actually is and how it's different than just a normal accelerator and how we're approaching it? And I guess we can start with Ash.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I think, from our perspective, our accelerator is very vertical focused. And so for us, we're going to be focusing on these different lanes within sports tech, which is going to be fan experiences, health and wellness, future of media, fantasy and sports betting, as well as esports. And so, we're focusing on those type of opportunities that's within sports tech that's leveraging 5G. And so, thanks to our partnership with Verizon, we're able to, launch this inaugural accelerator with their support. And so, because Verizon is very active in sports as well as esports, this type of relationship, it made total sense. And so, so this is for us. This is the first vertical focus accelerator that we're actually launching here in Houston. So just really excited about the opportunity and being able to leverage all of our resources within the industry to really accelerate these startups to the next level.
And you mentioned a second ago, and I want to go back to it real quick so that the founders who are listening know what we're talking about. What are the key areas when we say sports tech? What are those key areas? And you or Nate can kind of address that. When you say sports tech, what do you mean?
Yeah, I think, there's so the sports tech landscape, and they can probably, add in after, but I think, it's very broad. And so we wanted to really narrow our focus down from our conversation with Verizon and what they're doing as far as leveraging 5G in sports. And so, again, those different lanes that we're focusing on with this accelerator specifically is some of the ones that I mentioned earlier, which is, health and wellness, esports, fantasy sports and betting, and the fan experience, as well as esports and future media. And so, I think you can, from my perspective, just seeing already what's out there, there's so many different areas within sports tech. But again, this is why we're really focusing on these particular lanes within the vertical. And most would call these like subsectors of sports tech.
And Nate, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know y'all were kind of filling
in. Yeah, so like from my perspective, is kind of the softwares, the hardwares, the wearables that everybody has, like their Apple Watch or Whoop. It's the analytics platforms that teams use or organizations use to evaluate their business operations, and better engage their fans, figure out who their fans are, use it for entry into the ballpark. So Major League Baseball, they have one app that every team uses called the Ballpark app. So you go into that, you switch through, but then all that data also goes back to Major League Baseball to help identify email communications, demographics, youth fan bases, older fan bases, what device people are using, if mobile ordering is an opportunity in their stadium, kind of monitor, measure adoption opportunities through that.
And I'll add one more thing to Nate's comment. For us at DivInc, it's about doing work that is going to make an impact. And so because of when you just think about the sports industry, it's a lack of diversity. And so we're coming in and we're looking to really make an impact in the industry and driving more diversity, inclusiveness, and equity within the industry. And just in my personal experiences, just being in the industry for the past 20 years, and being on the side of being a judge, an advisor, a mentor, and Nate has seen some of the same things, and we've personally had conversations about it. There's not a lot of founders that look like us on that side of the table that's actually launching these sports startups. And we play the game, but we're not actively involved on the business side from a tech perspective. And we're not the ones that are, really being given the opportunity or even the exposure or the resources or the network to really have a successful sports startup. And so I think a lot of what we're doing is very intentional. And that's why, we're fortunate to be able to have partners like Verizon Mercury, the Ion, to really help us drive innovation in the industry and really make an impact.
And then you'd mentioned one particular reason, which is very important to us, is the lack of diversity. But I think since there's a lot of industries that have that same problem, why sports tech now for DivInc? Why that industry of all the other verticals that we could have chosen? Why this one and why now? And even why Houston?
Yeah, so I'll take a stab at both. So the first one was why Houston. When you think about the different key components that gives us a huge opportunity, or a huge opportunity to really take advantage of. You have the #1 entrepreneurship program, undergraduate program in the country here in Houston. That's at the University of Houston. You have the #1 graduate entrepreneurship program here in Houston. That's at Rice University. You have a high concentration of former and current athletes here in Houston. You have a leading medical center here in Houston. You also have, the most professional sports teams in the state of Texas in Houston, as well as the most universities and colleges in the state of Texas here in Houston. And so when you have all of these different components, it's really key when you talk about literally transforming a city and turning it into a potential sports tech hub. We have all of those ingredients here in Houston with all of the things that I just mentioned. And I think that, in regards to why, just recently, there was a report that came out that just last year, 2021, there was nearly $12 billion in investment that went into sports tech. And so from a numbers perspective, that's a growth of 275% since 2017, where investment in 2017 was at $3 billion. Now we're at $12 billion. And so you're having, because of the pandemic, that has made sports organizations globally be more aware of what are the things that they need to do to really become innovative. And so you have all these different things that are really playing into that, into really becoming a factor. And that's why it has led to sports tech just really exploding, the last year and a half. And Nate probably has something to speak on it as well too. So I'll pass it off to Nate.
I think he has something to add.
Yeah, I was trying to hold the thoughts while they were going, but COVID kind of accelerated it. People not being able to be in stadiums and being able to do business as usual, the whole fan experience shifts. So how you're able to engage with your customers or fans, how you're able to kind of create revenue opportunities with those customers or with those fans, that shifts. And then I was going to go back to being in that seat, working with the Indians, working with the Astros, and kind of what Ash already touched on, being that person that looks like me that does what I did for the Astros or for the Indians, and kind of seeing these new emerging technologies, but also kind of trying to find the people that give the people that didn't have the relationships or the network, the opportunity, or the industry experience, the opportunity to kind of pilot their product or get in front of the right people or the right person, and kind of be able to highlight or demonstrate what they're looking to accomplish, why it's important for them within their business, but then within their community. As we already kind of talked about or started to talk about, Houston's large, but it's also super diverse. And everything that the Astros communicate or the Dynamo communicate for one fan base or a target demo within that fan base won't necessarily communicate or also be relevant for another fan base. So tapping into the Latino market, the men and women, kind of taking all those different backgrounds, demos, whether it's gender, race, social class, into consideration. Those are things that are needed. And kind of being able to have the inside knowledge or inside experience in doing that, but then also kind of being on the outside and saying, there's plenty of startups that do this type of work and create these products or services that tap into those markets, but not necessarily knowing organizations don't have the resources to go out and seek those out. And an accelerator like this is a platform for that to happen. It's pretty cool.
So it's not a lack. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, basically what we're witnessing is a paradigm shift. And, what we've been telling folks is we're in the first inning. We're literally in the first inning. The industry is exploding with venture, venture money being poured in left and right, and it's on a global scale. And to Nate's point, you have, for example, the NBA. They're having players wear rings that tracks their performance now. I mean, all of these different things that these organizations are doing as far as adopting new technology, and so the timing of this actually couldn't be better.
And then, the one last thing that I kind of remembered was the promotion of it. So like you see Clutch Sports, you see 35 Venture. So you see the athletes that create their own venture firms. And before it was like you saw the headline of this player signed this contract for this amount of dollars, and that's kind of all you know. But now you kind of see their investment personally, professionally in like investing financial, like real money into these platforms, whether it's a Fanatics or a streaming platform or NFTs. Or analytics platforms like Ash just mentioned, or the wearables. You start to see those headlines more and more. I'm starting to be more cognizant of this is an opportunity for it to happen and be involved in that space.
Yeah, and I mean we can go all day long about this, but I think there's to Nate's point, you have all of these athletes, the Andre Iguodala's, the Steph Curry's. It's one of those things that players are very comfortable investing, for example, in what they know. And so when you've grown up and you've played, sports all your life, you have a very keen insight into things that work and don't work. And so, because these athletes are young, they're savvy from a digital perspective. Like I said, the timing of this is perfect. I remember just, 10, 15 years ago, the conversation might have been different. Especially when Twitter and all these other platforms were popping up, that the athletes they weren't comfortable, they weren't familiar with this landscape. But now it's completely 180. So yeah, like I said, the timing of this couldn't actually be better.
So it's definitely not an issue of there aren't enough startups out there, and there aren't enough founders out there who want to enter into the industry, but it's it's the problem that we see, and the problem DivInc is here to solve. It's the access to capital, to network, and to resources. That's what's the barrier to their success. So that's where DivInc comes from, and that's a perfect segue into talking about the accelerator itself, the actual program. So Amanda, can you tell us kind of what's the structure? What's the timeline, a little bit about the experience and what founders can expect when they're a part of a DivInc accelerator, and then we can get into the sports accelerator specifically.
Yeah, no, good question. So we see our accelerator in three different sections. So first, we want to make sure that our founders can really clearly identify and understand their ideal customer profile, their unique value proposition, their revenue formula, their unit economics, so that we know that they understand what the numbers need to look like to really make this business work. So that's kind of the first few weeks. And we usually get our founders saying, well, I've already done this work. I already know who my customer is. I already know what my pricing model looks like. But it doesn't hurt to dig deeper, because after we do some of these workshops and worksheets, they're like, oh, there are some things that sometimes that they weren't thinking of. So it's that reflection and trying to figure out what are some pieces that we're missing. Then we have our second section of the accelerator, where it's really testing all of those hypotheses that we were going over in the first few weeks. So we follow the lean startup model, where our founders are going to be testing and experimenting everything that they were figuring out in the first few weeks. So they're talking to customers, they're changing their pricing around a little bit, and we're really looking for them to find repeatability. So it's not just working one time, it's going to continue to work every time they do the same strategy. The other thing we really talk about in that second section is this the right solution for the problem you're trying to solve? So you may have identified the problem very well and you have a solution that you're working on, but sometimes that's not what the customer is necessarily looking for. So digging into the solution that they built and how can we change it if needed. And then our third section is really trying to figure out what do we need to have in place so that when you leave our 12-week accelerator, you can continue to grow and continue to gain that traction. So it's their sales playbook, their operations playbook, and getting everything ready for them to continue what they've been building in this 12 weeks. And it's also a deep focus on investor readiness. And then, their pitches and making sure that they know it's different when you're pitching to an investor versus a customer. we found that some of our founders really aren't looking to raise and some of them are. So we really focus on making sure that our founders are experts in knowing everything about fundraising so that they can make the decision for themselves if that's a route that they're looking for or not. And then, of course, we have our end-all culminating demo day, which is just a really exciting day to show off of everything that they've learned and accomplished those past few weeks. So when we talk about specifically the Sports Tech Accelerator, if founders have questions on what time they need to give, we are looking at 12 weeks of in-person. In Houston, we plan on doing Monday through Wednesday in person. It's 10 to 4, so all day. Thursday is virtual. We're still doing workshops. And then what Fridays are is your office hours with mentors and advisors.
Okay, and I did want to say one thing, or related to something you were saying a little earlier about how you all are walking them through the steps to really kind of figure out what their company needs to be its most successful. And sometimes that involves pivoting, sometimes that involves making changes, but they have people to guide them through that process, our mentors and coaches and all of the team that's a part of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So part of that second piece with validating your assumptions is sometimes they'll go and talk to customers and they're like, yes, like everything I figured out is working and this is happening. And then sometimes they're like, man, like I really thought this was my customer and I really thought this was the price they were going to pay, but it's not working out and they have to make a pivot. But that's as equally as important. And it's even more helpful with us being by your side and helping that pivot happen faster and connect you with the people that can help.
Great. So related to the Sports Tech Accelerator, since we're just talking about the kind of the people that are involved and the coaches and mentors and of course members of the DivInc team, I think that is a huge differentiator or something that makes our accelerator special is the caliber of partners we have, the caliber of mentors we have. So Ashley and Nate, if y'all want to talk a little bit about who's going to be involved in the day-to-day as well as who's going to be involved in the big workshops and seminars that the founders will be participating in.
Yes, I think, and Nate would agree with this just from our experience being in the industry and being associated with different sports-focused accelerators, is that the key is to have these subject matter experts, these industry experts, angel investors, teammates, members from, venture teams, all of these different people that are all of these different players within the sports tech ecosystem. It's key to have all of these players involved as mentors and advisors, all the way down to, the collegiate level, whether it's an athletic director, for example, or someone that's in, operations or ticket sales. Because that unique insight, if to be honest, that's gold, that's valuable. Because that can actually, have you reevaluate, your particular, solution. When you're able to get that valuable insight. And so I think for us, that's something that's going to be, very important, and something that will add value to the founders that are accepted into the cohort, being able to tap into that expertise. And I think that, at the end of the day, having those mentors as well as opportunities for pilots to be able to, run beta pilots. I think at the end of the day, those are things that those are traditionally barriers that founders face. They're not able to go and work with, professional sports team or collegiate, sports team or just a sports organization, period, to run pilots with. And so, by coming through our accelerator program, those are the type of opportunities that we'll actually be able to provide.
Real quick, before I pass it on to Nate, can you explain what you mean by pilot? Because just bearing in mind that some that are listening may not even really understand what that is, so they can fully understand how pretty awesome it is.
Yeah, so basically testing out your product, with an organization. Pretty much is running a pilot so that way you can be able to do some beta testing, be able to get that customer feedback from that organization. So that's pretty much what it is being able to have that opportunity to, beta test your product with the organization.
So
make sure that the product market fit is solid.
Yeah.
And being able to walk away saying that you have real actionable data from from professional, collegiate, high school, from all the different levels, that you'll be able to walk away saying, I have my case studies are with possibly the Rockets or the Astros or someone like that, or on the collegiate level. And that's gold in this world.
Yeah.
in compared to, because I think in some accelerators, the focus may be on getting investment, and that's the main goal. But for this one specifically, it really matches with the idea of having the opportunity or the possibility of working with a team and being able to put it in real world in that way. And I think that's a huge difference with ours. So I've told Nate to wait for too many times. You go.
No, you're good. But yeah, no, you touched on it. The partnerships, the relationships, the skill that's needed to be able to pilot a product or service isn't available everywhere. So like you can't get into an 18,000, 20,000 seat basketball stadium or 40,000 seat baseball stadium every day. So being able to have those relationships to be able to find opportunities to do a pilot there, or even if it's not with the Astros, if it's with Sugarland Skeeters, their minor league affiliate, or an NBA G League team, kind of finding other opportunities within those partnerships to also find those pilots or create those opportunities, and just be able to be in those environments or be in those experiences, or in those spaces where that's a realistic opportunity, and kind of being able to leverage those relationships that are in Houston, being able to tap into those markets. There was another part that Ash mentioned. So the partnerships in the community. So the Women in Sports Tech, your Sports Innovation Texas, your RGA, that have reach outside of Houston. So being able to get into Austin, San Antonio, if it's Women in Sports Tech, also being able to focus on the women that are kind of creating these products and startups and becoming founders, and having the struggles of finding the resources, whether it's capital or relationships also. Kind of being able to kind of be a little more broad or expand our reach and have this kind of ripple effect outside of where we have immediate touch is key. Kind of the work you're already doing through DivInc, but then also being able to amplify that through these networks. And sports is like a big brand thing, but they're very small organizations. So kind of one thing you kind of touched on is like that, being able to get in and find like who that person is that you need to talk to, that is actually can help like get your product or service in the door, and kind of identify the problem or challenge that they really have. Like is what the founder addressing a real problem for that organization, and kind of being able to have somebody that can take 30 minutes or an hour and be a mentor for this program and say like, this is where we really have a problem, what we really need to solve. Having that opportunity to have that conversation with that person and have them become a mentor is kind of invaluable for a startup founder.
So we've talked about the different partners that we know that are kind of on the team, in the team space, but our sponsors are also supporting us. And I think how is like our title sponsor, Verizon, thank you very much, Verizon, is going to be involved in. And so we're not just talking about teams, we're also talking about corporations and other entities that will be supporting throughout the 12 weeks, right?
Yeah, and shout out to Verizon again, Intel, Mercury, Ion. I mean, all of these amazing partners, as well as our programming partners over at the Canon, Women in Sports Tech, Sports Innovation Texas, H-Tech Sports Tech. I mean, all of this stuff that we're doing to really make an impact, to drive more diversity, equity, inclusion in the ecosystem, it couldn't be done without all of these amazing partners. And so, I think that's, at the end of the day, each partner brings tremendous amount of value. And so, one of the things when you talk about Verizon, because they have a 5G labs, their team, we're actually working with their team throughout the accelerator program to be able to, add value to those founders based upon things that they've seen, across the spectrum in sports. And, being able to really have that 5G labs team working with us, that's invaluable, as well as RGA Venture Studio that is also partners with Verizon. And so, even with Intel, where they're going to be able to provide mentors that have experience in AI, data analytics. That's invaluable to have those type of experts at those leading organizations to really be able to serve as mentors and advisors for these founders.
And Amanda, when we're talking about this huge long list of mentors, coaches, subject matter experts, all this, how are we then kind of matching the needs of the founder to the expertise of these mentors? And it really, almost, I would imagine, is kind of customized the group of mentors and support people that come on depending upon the needs of the founders.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, everything Ash just said, we get everyone involved. We have coaches, corporate sponsors, subject matter experts who are local and national who would, virtually come in. But we like to say that it's more of an art right now than a science of putting it together, but no cohort has the same exact mentors teaching the exact same workshops. We'll use a few of the same people, but when we accept our 10 founders, we really look at, okay, we have our program built out. Now that we've accepted them, what are their very specific needs, and who do we have in our network that can fill those needs? So it really is customized for those 10, which I think is incredible. And the other thing that's wonderful about our mentors and our coaches is that they look like our founders that we're bringing in. They are diverse, they are women, they are Black, they are Latino. Like, we want to make sure that our founders can relate to our mentors, and our mentors know that the biases that our founders may be facing in this tech world.
And that's, I think, one of the things that's a key for a DivInc accelerator is this idea that our mentors and our kind of our support system, they're actively working in the industry. They aren't coming from a theoretical space. They're coming from their actual executive C-suite individuals and leaders in the industry, but also we do our best to make sure that they look like our founders, and there's a representation aspect to how we choose our partners. So, and that, of course, leads to the community that we build within our cohort. And I did want to touch on that because that's another thing I think is special about our accelerators. And Amanda, you may want to chime in on this one, is the how we build a community within the cohort, and how through our programming, the cohorts do come out as, they're a team. It's almost like a graduating class coming out of university. Yeah. And we're very intentional with that, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. So when we pick our 10, we really make sure that they are not competing with each other. They're collaborating. So we pay attention closely to their businesses to make sure that no two are exactly alike. And we want to make sure that, of course, our focus is early stage, pre-seed and seed, but we have a few that are farther along so that everyone can collaborate together and learn from each other. That's one of our biggest things. And one thing that we really like doing is focusing on the whole founder wellness, knowing that our founders are facing some different discrimination that other founders may not be. So we do Wellness Wednesdays where we'll have dinners or lunches, and we sit around and we get to talk about different experiences that we've had together, and to really just have that support system as everyone goes through this journey of starting and running their business.
So if someone watching wants to be involved and wants to sign up to be a mentor, what would they need to do? I think we do have a web page, our Get Involved page, but Amanda, if you could just let them know what if they want to share their expertise with our cohorts, what do they do?
Yes. So if you want to be a mentor, subject matter expert, or get involved any way with our Sports Tech Accelerator or any of the other accelerators that we have in Houston or in Austin, you can go to the link right here, divinc.org/get-involved. It'll give you a lot of information about different ways to get involved. And then at the very bottom, there's a form that you can fill out, and then someone from our team will reach out to you.
Fantastic. So I think one of the key things that I want to talk about before we finish is, okay, so we have groups of founders who are watching right now. Their interest has been piqued, and now they're thinking, okay, now how do I apply? What do I need to do? What are the steps I need to take? And then also, what are you looking for in a founder, in a company? What are the requirements? And then also, what are the key indicators when you know that, okay, this person in this company would be successful? So I just rattle off a lot of questions. So
no, that's okay. I think I can hit all of them. So if you are interested in applying, please go to, again, this link right here, divinc.org/sportstech. And on that page, you'll see a lot of information already. If you have, there's some FAQs. If you have a bunch of questions, I'm sure they may be answered there. But you can fill out an interest form on that page, and then you'll be sent an email with some to-dos, and the link to the application will also be in that email. So I think one of your questions was kind of what we're looking for. So in terms of qualifications, it's that your company must be led by a woman or a person of color. We want you to have your MVP built and ready to go so that our curriculum can have the best effect. We need you to be a for-profit company and available in Houston in person for our 12-week cohort program. So when looking at our applicants and trying to figure out who our top 10 will be, we definitely take those qualifications into account. But also in the interviews, we really pay attention to the team. Do they have everyone on the team that they need, or who would need to be there to support them? And how do they work together? What is everyone on the team in the right seat? Are they doing the right job? And then the other thing that we look at with your team is, are y'all coachable? You know, if we have to tell you some things about your business that may need pivots, or we may have some ideas that can make it better, are you willing to listen and take in the information and take advantage of the resources that we have for you? Right. And the other thing really is, are you going to be really committed to this 12 weeks? Because it's really intense, and we are pouring ourselves into you as founders. And are you willing to pour in as much as we are? And so we're looking for people that are willing to be part of the family, part of this movement. And we, if you are interested, fill out that form, and we're really excited to meet you.
And I'd love to hear, Ashley and Nate, when y'all are looking at applicants or talking with people who are prospective applicants, what are y'all looking for? Ashley, if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. So one, definitely the team. If that founder or founders, what is their level of domain expertise? And then also, to Amanda's point, coachable. And also why did they actually start this startup? Like, what is their why? Because if that why is not strong enough, then, usually statistics say that founder taps out. And so, we ask those hard questions, why? But then also, I think at the end of the day, if it's a need in the industry for that particular product, does it have a product market? Is there potential for a product market fit? And so, is it something that is scalable? Is it truly tech that is integrated into the product? Just things like that, just on a very surface level, are some of the things that we look at when trying to make that determination of who is going to be the best fit to come through our accelerator.
I would also like to add that one thing for the founders to think about too is, during these interviews, you're also interviewing us to make sure that we're the right fit to help you with your needs, because we may not be the fit for everyone, but you're also asking us the right questions and figuring out, based on your needs, what can we provide, and what can we help you with, and how far can we bring your traction in that 12 months.
And Nate, I think you had something to add.
Yeah, I was going to add a little bit. It's impact. It's the stuff Ash and Amanda just touched on. It's kind of, one is, does it address a challenge or a need for the organization? But does it help a team or organization generate revenue? Does it save in costs? Does it improve processes? Does it help that business expand their reach? Does it, at a surface or high level, does it check those boxes? And kind of, what does that impact look like for Nationals versus a Dynamo versus a Sabercats, like a rugby team that's here in the city? And kind of, has that team made the right focus on, this is the product or service we need to attack in this sport for this reason? Those are kind of the bigger things. And then, is it a disruption? Is there something else that's like your product or service already out there that you haven't differentiated yourself enough? And the level of competition that's out there is pretty big. And not creating this not copycat product, but like, yeah, is it different enough that you separate yourself from the pack, and that somebody from the Houston Dash kind of sees like, all right, that's something that helps me do. It helps bring in fans and helps improve our players or athletes recover better, or that you personally would use as an athlete, as a runner, as a swimmer yourself. And then can that be used outside of the market that you initially focused on?
So it's almost like, well, I don't know if it's this way for all of them, but it's almost like for these particular founders, they have to think about building and boosting their own company, but also thinking about the problems they're trying to solve for the teams or whomever they're trying to partner with. So solving their problems while also trying to, get them solving their own problems at the same time.
Like in some cases, we'll stick with like the baseball reference. Like if it's working with a baseball player development team, like that won't see the light of day of like being in the front of the organization. It's always going to be the Carlos Correa or Bregman, or like the Astros organization is going to be the face of it, but you'll be the back end product, whether it's a camera system or player movement platform or recovery platform. That's going to be like the behind the scenes thing.
Got it. I think the last thing that I want to talk about is, after your 12 weeks are done and you've, made a splash at demo day, what happens after? We don't cut you loose. You're not just like sent out, and we do have a fully built out alumni program, portfolio program that continues to support our founders after the accelerator and years after. I mean, right now we're still supporting and contributing to the success of founders that were in our first cohort, and this will be our SJI is cohort 9, so this will be cohort 10. Mm-hmm. So what is it that founders will expect after demo day and in the years following?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So we want to make sure that even after the 12 weeks, you're still part of the DivInc family. So any resources and connections and mentors and anything we can provide for you, we are going to continue that support. So that looks like events, peer groups, when we can find some grant opportunities. Of course, we're very active in Slack. So right now we have all of our alumni in Slack. And the second we find grants or we know of an event where they can go get in front of some VCs, we are in constant communication with our alumni. So we also ask them to send us updates every few months or set a cadence so that we can see where were they when they left us after the 12 weeks and where are they now. And as we hear about their updates, that also helps us think, okay, now they're here. Who can I connect them with now? Oh, now they're ready for funding. Now I can pull these people out of the woodwork and connect them because now it's the right time. So it's going to be constant communication, and they stay in our network, and our alumni can always rely on us for anything that they need after those 12 weeks.
Fantastic. Okay, so my last question for everyone. If there is one thing that you want our viewers to walk away with, something that we covered or something that we may not have touched on, this is your moment to say that one thing, so we make sure that everyone walks away with that kind of key information. And I think, Ashley, we can start with you.
Yeah, I would say, what is really critical to success in our accelerator is simply be coachable. And this, to me, this is, especially in sports, and just, it's one of those things to where sports transcends all things. And I think that to really be successful in whatever you do, you have to be coachable. And so I would say, if anybody, founders listening to this, just know that in order to be successful, whether you come through our accelerator or any other accelerator, you must be coachable. And to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I'll say that one more time: be comfortable being uncomfortable.
For the people in the back.
That's the key.
Go ahead, Amanda. Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say that if you're interested in applying for any accelerator through DivInc, or really any accelerator in general, don't count yourself out. Don't say, oh God, I don't think I'm ready, or oh gosh, I don't think they're gonna like me, or my tech isn't good enough. Like it's not like just shoot your shot. Like let us be the judge of that. Let us get to know you. And even if you're not ready for an accelerator, then now you're in our network and we can still send you events and other opportunities. But don't count yourself out. Just apply if this is something that you think you're interested in, or this is the community that you want to be in. Don't be scared. Just shoot your shot, and we want to bring you into our family.
Nate, if you want to close this out.
Yeah, close it out. No, I think it's like the thing that's a differentiator, a big differentiator for this accelerator is the relationships. So the partners that DivInc has between Verizon, your Intel, it's like these big corporate entities, to the local sports organizations, to the universities, to other community partners, whether it's WISP, RGA, Sports Innovation Texas. Those groups or those networks have tremendous reach. And there's going to be an opportunity to find an application within some sport, whether it's content, whether it's the wearables, whether it's software. There's going to be some opportunity to find a space for the product or service you're developing.
Great. Well, that's it for today, but I think we covered a lot of information, and I'm hoping that it was helpful for everyone. Again, if you are interested in applying for the DivInc Accelerator or any of our accelerators, Sports Tech, or any of the accelerators coming up this year, you can visit divinc.org/apply. And if you're looking for Sports Tech specific, it's divinc.org/sports tech. And and also, if you want to be a mentor, let's get that mentor link up as well. It's our Get Involved page. So if you want to send in information to share your expertise with our founders, I want to thank all of our panelists. all of our panelists today for spending some time and sharing. And we will have another lunchtime link up on February 16th. Where we will also be talking about sports tech, but we'll actually have some founders who have already received investment and are veterans in the industry coming and sharing a little bit about what it looks like to be a successful startup in sports tech. So look forward to that. Put that on your calendars on February 16th. Thank you so much, and y'all have a great day. Bye.